Before we get into the king crab, we need to go over the crab, because the crab is a very interesting mech, and I kind of like to pair the king crab and a couple crabs together into a lance. The crab is a pure energy mech, whereas the king crab is mostly a pure AC-20 ammo mech, so a very different structure. Overview. The crab was designed to be a medium raider and guerrilla fighter. First built in 2719, fewer than 1,000 of this design have been delivered to their assignments so far. Initial reports on the design were good, but the mech's lack of hands and inability to jump have reduced its usefulness as a raider. The crab possesses good overall speed and can survive for weeks without resupply. All of its weapons are energy-based, which makes the crab slightly harder to operate than other mechs of its class. Editor's note: it is likely that the crab would have become the standard medium mech of the SLDF had events not forced General Kerensky and his loyalists to leave the inner sphere. Capabilities. The crab contains little new technology. Except for the targeting system and the communications equipment, every major component on the crab has been proven on another mech design. Techs dream of assignment to a crab, because the maintenance time is less than half that for other mechs in its class. A crab walk is synonymous with easy duty. Only the communications equipment gives the techs any problems. The Dalban Series K communications network was designed to be fully self-contained. The system houses 7 microprocessors, each capable of performing its own special duty as well as duplicating the operations of the other 6. More than a communications system, the Dalban network can identify the mech's exact location on the world and locations of any known units on the planet. The system keeps the information current by monitoring all radio frequencies and shortwave bands. When operating behind enemy lines, the system can forecast enemy troop movements, differentiating between suspected positions and known positions, and project a path for arriving at any goal. Though not foolproof, the system does give the pilot an excellent recon report prior to his patrol. Unfortunately, this system is difficult to maintain. Damage to one of the processors normally requires its complete removal. The system redundancy was absolutely necessary to keep the system online during combat. The crab's armor protection is generally good. The arms and legs are especially well protected, with ferrofibrous armor used throughout. Its weakest areas of protection are the left and right torsos, but even those areas can withstand a direct PPC blast without a breach. The mech's weapons systems are functional, but uninspired. The large lasers are a matched set housed in the claws and forearms of each arm. They provide an excellent arc of fire, but are easily damaged during hand-to-hand fighting. Pilots have a tendency to use the huge weapons as clubs, knocking the focusing mirrors out of alignment and rendering the laser inoperable. Though the adjustment is easy to perform, it requires several minutes outside the cockpit with the pilot's head buried in the elbow of the mech. To provide a secondary line of defense, a medium Ceres arms laser and Exostar small laser were added in the center torso and head, respectively. The medium laser is well protected from the engine, and the heat sinks allow an unrestricted flow of heat through the center torso and out the back. The head-mounted small laser is normally used only as a last resort, ineffective at long ranges. It is best used against soft targets, such as infantry and rioting civilians. The cockpit is well insulated from the heat of the engine and the small laser. Pilots appreciate the relative comfort of piloting a crab. Now that's what I want to hear. Rioting civilians, massive 50-ton machine and directed energy weapons. That's a good mix, I can tell. The mech's ejection seat varies from the standard design. The pilot has two methods of escape. If an explosion is imminent, the top hatch is blown back and the seat is jettisoned through the roof of the mech. Seat thrusters stabilize the descent to a controlled fall, and the pilot lands roughly 200 meters from his machine. If no explosion is likely, the seat is rotated 90 degrees and fired out the back. The pilot will land 20 to 50 meters from his mech after a much shorter and gentler ride. I don't know about you, but something tells me I would opt for the 200-meter option every time, even if the ride is less pleasant. I mean, if something is making me need to eject, I want to be as far away as possible. So let's go check out the old 2750 Star League era TRO. And so here we go, flipping through the latest inventions and discoveries of the Star League. The Mercury, oh, the crab, there it is, early. Look at that. What a beauty. This is a really nice machine. The Crab is a pretty solid energy mech. It's pure energy, so you don't have to worry about running out of ammo, and a fairly decent performer. Also, it's because it has two large lasers and sufficient heat sinkage for its two large lasers. It does a pretty good job. And even if you do get both your arms blown off, which should be pretty significant, you've still got the head-mounted and center torso-mounted weapons. So in this way, you can consider the Crab a mini zombie mech. It's not quite fully zombie because most of its weaponry are in its arms, but it does have the ability to continue the fight, even if torsos and arms are gone. The Crab is a great mech at 50 tons, but if you need a little bit more punch, then you may want to consider teaming it up with its older brother, the King Crab. King Crab makes a great mate to the Crab, but has a significant weakness in that it is really good against one single enemy assault mech, or anything you target it against. But beyond that, it has too little ammo. That large laser just doesn't cut it. So that's why it makes a great pairing with the Crab. The Crab and the King Crab are well matched because their standard variants both have large lasers. So they can kind of stay together as a group and pick on things from a range with their large lasers, and the King Crab can provide some LRM support as well. And for any large opponent or large target, the King Crab will surely make short work of it. But at only 5 shots per autocannon, you can't afford to take shots at smaller targets with it. And that's where the Crab comes in. The Crab is ideal for taking out smaller targets, and the large laser has a pretty long reach. Also, if you play with more advanced versions, you get, of course, longer range weapons. Now, there are many variants of the Crab, but I'm going to focus just on 3 representative cases. The first version is the original Crab, the pure Star League era. Its main feature is large lasers, medium laser, small laser, zombie. However, it does have ferrofibrous as a high-tech component. Everything else is fairly low-tech. The next version that I will mention is the CRB-C. It's nearly identical to the original Crab 27, except it's got a C3 network slave. Otherwise, it's identical. And then the final variant, the CRB-30, is a late clan invasion era / pre-Jihad variant that was made by the word of Blake. It has a bunch of technological upgrades, including the IC3 net. All three of these variants, which give you a pretty good rundown on what a crab should be, that is, zombie-ish, in either the original Star League version or a C3 network or an IC3 network variant. Not unsurprisingly, against assault mechs, or against everything, the most advanced version, the CRB-30, wins most often. And of course, the CRB-C, because it's slightly downgraded from the CRB-27 because it has to fit in that C3 slave, is a little bit worse, but it's also cheaper. But when you normalize for battle value, they're all fairly similar and also fairly high performance. I mean, a 0.4 wins per kill battle value is not bad. So consider that. The crab is a good mid-range zombie mech, similar to like an awesome, except a much lighter weight at only 50 tons. And also pure energy based, so no ammunition explosions, and you can afford to run it hotter.